This person came to me so amazing, just wanted to really become more intuitively connected, but they were very adamant that they weren't creative at all. And in fact, growing up in their household, it was like a slur word if you were creative or if you were an artist. So there were really deep set
Really?
reasons as to why
Yeah.
they were really rejecting that. But I knew that if I could get them over the hump of like letting go, like you said, then it would open up a new part of them that they were craving deeply. You know, we all crave expression and creativity in one way or another.
Right.
And so what I got them to do was just to hold on to a piece of black charcoal, and I put a huge piece of paper on a table, and I said, just put it down, right?
Put
Make a
some
mark.
marks down. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they just started sort of scribbling back and forth and had a big emotional release. And that one step led to them actually being an award-winning photographer, creating
Way.
multiple traveling shows, being flown out by lens companies, and just having it a career, a creative career, writing a book about it. Like, so much is waiting for us on the other side of that one step of getting over the idea that you have to be a creative, you have to be an artist in order to express yourself.
Rachel Archelaus is back. I'm so excited to have her. Rachel experiences life as a multi-dimensional being. She has seen and interacted with the non-physical world since her childhood and continues to have a rich experience of different beings, star systems, and energies. She is the founder of the Intuitive Art Academy, of which I am a student, which teaches people how to have a two-way conversation with their higher selves through color. The Certified Intuitive Artist Program helps healers, therapists, and coaches to create a lucrative and impactful business using intuitive art.
Welcome to the Create Happy Now podcast, dedicated to helping you start your journey to discover true happiness. Join me, your host, Susan Blanton, weekly as we explore the transformation stories and words of wisdom from our masters of happiness with tips you can start applying today to create happy now.
Rachel, I want to talk about how people can really use expressing themselves in an art, and not mean being artist, but doing a craft or doing just doodles, just letting go of that idea that you have to be an artist in order to express yourself on paper, on a canvas, or a sculpture, or whatever it is. And I mean, you're the expert in intuitive art, and I want to get your I want you to let everybody know that this is just an amazing way to tap into that part of you that has been suppressed for so long, and that it's very therapeutic, it's very releasing, it's and I know that you've had a lot of experience with that in your clients, and so I thought we'd talk about that.
Yeah, that's a great topic. And for people who can make the leap from feeling like, oh, I'm not an artist, I'm not creative, to like actually being able to let go and express themselves, it's such you're reclaiming a part of yourself that you probably lost in like second grade art class when you decided, oh my God, I can't do this. This isn't for me. Because that's usually where people lose it. You know, when we're kids, we're scribbling all over the place. We're doodling. We're, drawing the monsters. We're drawing our families. And it doesn't look anything like the real thing, but that doesn't matter. You're having fun. You're using your imagination. But as adults, it's really more about letting the higher mind, your higher self, your big multidimensional energy just flow through you. Like, it's not about creating something that you're going to want to hang up. It's about the process. So if you can switch from thinking that it's about the product to the process, and just find the relaxation in that. You can even close your eyes. You can crumple it up before you open your eyes, right? Like there's a lot of ways to ease into it, but it is so life enhancing to just be able to get over the hump of I'm not creative, I'm not an artist, because those aren't even relevant.
Well, I'm telling you, like well, I am an artist, but if I don't see it, I can't draw a stick figure. So it's like I can duplicate what I see and put it on paper, but when it comes to, just doing it off my mind, I struggle with that. But now I'm really into, okay, I'm trying to get away from realism and getting into just being an expression, even if it's not anything that I hang on the wall or get commissioned to do, obviously, but like a journal, like it's almost like just having something to just doodle and draw and just, and nobody has to see it. You shut it up in a book and it's just you and your book, like a diary. It's more of like an art diary, I guess. Is
That's
one
a
way.
great analogy. Yeah, because if you think about it, when you're journaling, you're not like expecting yourself to write a beautifully edited novel.
Right.
You're just throwing things out there, right? You're just getting what's on the inside out. And you could do the same thing with drawing.
Yeah. And I think even if you did combine it, like have a sketchbook where you can write stuff, put in the margins, or doodle, or do your little quotes and things and ideas interlaced with what you're drawing,
Well, my daily alignment journal, I created this. It
Yeah.
has all of that. It has a place for art. It has a place for reflections and to-dos and all of that. So yeah, you could definitely combine them.
And nobody's looking, right?
Yeah, nobody's looking.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit of some transformations that you've experienced with folks who you've worked with them and that, thought, oh, I need to be an artist to do this first. But then, once they get over that, the floodgates start to come out.
Yeah, there's this one client in particular who, now, if you were coming to me as, a coach or facilitator, teacher, you're creative, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I cannot attract anyone who's not creative. So this person came to me so amazing, just wanted to really become more intuitively connected, but they were very adamant that they weren't creative at all. And in fact, growing up in their household, it was like a slur word if you were creative or if you were an artist. So there were really deep set reasons as to why they were really rejecting that. But I knew that if I could get them over the hump of like letting go, like you said, then it would open up a new part of them that they were craving deeply. We all crave expression and creativity in one way or another.
Right.
And so what I got them to do was just to hold on to a piece of black charcoal. And I put a huge piece of paper on a table and I said, just put it down, right?
Make the marks down. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they just started sort of scribbling back and forth and had a big emotional release. And that one step led to them actually being an award-winning photographer, creating multiple traveling shows, being flown out by lens companies, and just having it a creative career, writing a book about it. Like, so much is waiting for us on the other side of that one step of getting over the idea that you have to be a creative, you have to be an artist in order to express yourself.
I think also, well, I know myself, if I've gone for a period of time without creating something, I feel kind of stuffed up. I don't know how to explain it. Like I feel I'll start to get a little cranky. And I think that's so true. It's almost like getting bottled up and you can't, it's like someone telling you can't cope, and you're just like, but I need to express myself. I need to have my voice. Well, I think that's how drawing and creating, if you're not allowed to do that, because we're not all perfect speakers or writers, but we do it anyway. So why not draw, right? I know that I feel that's where I'm kind of like pinched, is where I feel like I need to be perfect in making a realism, and I need to let go and just go, you know, and let it flow and not worry about it looking like anything, because I'm used to things, everything I do is going to hang on the wall.
Mhm.
And so, just getting used to not doing that and letting it be more expressive and more of who I am, rather than trying to draw something that is already there. It's drawing something that's coming out of me, right? Yeah.
And it can take a while to find your style too. I do both as well. I'm an abstract expressionist artist. I've done book covers and illustrated books and done art shows and sold paintings and stuff. But I also do process art, which is where I'm just talking to my higher self. So yeah, when you're switching styles from realism, if you're actually an artist, already, like, it can take a while, right? But you can paint over canvas, and you can get a new piece of paper, and you can just play around and see, like, oh, these shapes keep coming up for me. This must be like really inherently what I want to create, what I want to express with. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing to just let yourself experiment too.
Exactly. And I think too, knowing the things that you can do help the creative juices flow. Like for instance, when I've learned just like different types of, it's called like Zendangles or Zendoodles. I don't know if it's a coin term, or you have to be careful of like using that as a trademark or something, but what it is essentially is just creating a pattern, much like what you might see in a mandala. It's like maybe circles or squiggles, or a weave of some sort. The more you learn, the more you can be creative. You see, oh, I'm going to try that kind of design, and then not that you have to be an artist, but you can go, okay, well, I'm going to squiggle my pencil that way for a while, and oh, that kind of feels good. I like how that is. That's kind of fun. I'm losing myself in it. And the other thing that I also wanted to talk about is how meditative this process can be. And I'm not talking about just being an artist and painting something that's going to be hung on the wall. I'm talking about the expressive artists, expressive drawing or painting or just marking, how that might even differ, because you've done both, how that might even differ for you, to calm your mind and to get in that deeper meditative state than, say, traditional meditation.
I mean, I think everyone's going to have their own experience with like what meditation works best for them. But it's all really just giving over to your higher mind instead of your lower mind. We're all big multidimensional beings. We're part of source, right? We have, if you want to look at it like a soul, higher self sort of thing, like, and the lower mind lives here, and it's only interested in what it already knows, right? Like,
Right.
It's a calculator.
Yeah.
And so
It's a
it can
tool.
show you like, oh, put the shadow here, or like put the leaf there, but it has nothing to do with your creative flow or your allowing or your feeling good. We open the valve to that higher connection anytime we are doing something creative or meditating or dancing, writing, right? Like when we're expressing, when we're letting that energy flow, and we can feel it. And
Right.
so it's really beneficial. And not only that, but you're being active in it, right? Like, so meditation is much more passive usually. But if you're actively engaging in your higher connection, you can have thoughts pop into your mind, like epiphanies. You can feel your body actually relax, and that changes your internal chemistry. Like, it's so beneficial beyond even comprehension. We don't even know how consciousness works yet in science. And so we're really on the frontier of all of the science of this. And I think that's really fascinating, but you can benefit from it regardless of whether we know everything.
Absolutely. And I think that I want to encourage people to try different things. There's more than one way to be creative. There's there's painting, there's drawing, and there's sculpting or whatever. I mean, repurposing furniture, but there's also writing or singing, dancing. I mean, it's all just don't try to conform to what is expected to be pretty or beautiful. It's just an expression of you. And you can dance by yourself in the dark if you want to, or you can sing in the shower. But just do it, or sing in the car, or it just express yourself more and more fully as much as you can, whether you kind of be a closet expressor or feel like you can, more and more be more out, let that personal expression, because it is personal. It's hard to express yourself and then let everybody see it, see you singing off key or singing you, or maybe you don't feel like what you just made is very pretty or whatever, but it's an expression of you, and it's a process that was fun and therapeutic and releasing.
Yeah. And it's just for you, like you're saying. Yeah, I know in the age of social media, a lot of people think they have to broadcast everything that they're doing. You don't. Nope, you're still entitled to your own private life. And if that means like doing something in the dark so you can't even see it, that's fine. If that just means shutting your book when you're done drawing in it, that's fine too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what are some of the things that you're doing now? Are you creating anything new with your business?
Yeah, actually. So it's sort of funny. So I used to teach a program called Work Your Purpose, which is all about sort of like living on brand, like being aligned and utilizing your soul gifts and talents, right, to make a living. And this year I've noticed a lot of people moving away from wanting to work, and not in the sense of like they don't want to put any effort into the world, but that word is really triggering for a lot of people right now, because we've evolved. We know we can do exactly what we love and be supported. And so I'm combining my intuitive art certification, which helps people communicate with their higher selves,
Right.
and this idea of like creating a paradise here on this planet. And so now I'm doing, it's called Live Your Paradise.
Oh, I love that.
I know. So it's like learning the skills of communicating and embodying your higher self, and then like 6 months of coaching and implementing and growing that life that you are so excited about, that's like totally authentic to you.
And I think a lot of what comes up probably is fear, or feeling inadequate in going in a different direction, or feeling like you're an imposter, or, because you're just new at it, or you're going to get judgment from, your circle, your tribe, your community, your family, your culture, or whatever, when you decide to go into a different direction, then everybody kind of thinks you should go. And then you're like, nah, it just doesn't align with me anymore. I want to go this direction. And you're going to get all sorts of people going, no, what are you doing? That's not going to sustain you. That's not a good idea. I know, because I grew up with everybody staying in the same company for, 30 to 40 years. And I'm not that way. And they also stayed in the same town, and I, took off. So, but I think more and more people now are trying to like figure out, well, who am I? And what do I want? What do I really want to do? And
yeah, I think it's getting harder and harder, not only emotionally, but like actually to live that stable life that we saw modeled growing up, because it doesn't really exist anymore. Like climate change is all over the place, but also corporations are all over the place. And there's really no job security. There's no like corporation loyalty anymore. There's no pensions. And so we really need to know, like, how do we create something on our own, or know we can if we are in a corporate job and happy, but like, what if something happens? It's so good to know how to create your own life and your own abundance, because it's like, it's very difficult to live on this planet without that.
And I think, what the whole world went through, with the virus that we all
Exactly.
endured, we've just got to embrace change. We've got to embrace, life can pivot at any moment. There's nothing that you can solely depend on. The only thing that we really can depend on as much as possible is ourselves, to validate ourselves, to nurture ourselves, to fill our own cup, right? If we're going to be compassionate and help others, we can't give with an empty cup. And so filling it, no matter what, I mean, that comes first, and then you can handle change if someone leaves, or your company lets you go, or all of a sudden you got to move to a different, town or state or country. You're going to be able to bend and flow and handle it, be a little bit more resilient. I think that's just super important for everybody to prepare themselves to be more and more resilient, by not trying to just get over stuff, but just embracing the change.
Yeah, and being confident in yourself that you can adapt and you can find the new opportunities, because you're consciously aligning to them. Yeah.
Exactly. And I also think that sometimes when things don't go the way you want them, instead of going, oh no, that didn't go right, and go, maybe I wasn't supposed to go that way. Maybe it's time to go a different way. Maybe that was going to be a bad choice to begin with. And it's a good thing that something kind of blocked me from it. That maybe I should just kind of look around for clues of where I should go next. And I think that's what's so important about intuitive drawing, is because when you get in touch with your intuitive side of things, and not only are you drawing intuitively, you're going to catch intuitive impulses, clues, all the breadcrumbs that the universe gives us when we know what we really want, how we want to feel in life. And it's going to go, oh, you need to go do this, or you need to talk to this person, or you need to try this.
Definitely. Yeah. Living intuitively is just another way to always have things work out for you, right? Like, if you can hear those cues, and they've done psychological studies on this, the people who are optimistic, they get more out of life because they see the opportunities. And so if you have that belief in yourself, like, I'm tuned in, I'm going to catch things are coming my way, that's what's going to happen for you.
Absolutely. I worked for Amazon for a while, and I remember whenever there was something that went wrong, or maybe there was something you didn't get, or you have a challenge, they called it opportunities instead. I liked how that they reframed that, so it didn't seem daunting. It was like, oh, this is an opportunity to learn. This is opportunity to try something new. This is an opportunity to just do something different, learn and explore and grow. And I think that's a great way to look at every obstacle in our life as an opportunity, that, oh gosh, maybe this bad thing happened. Well, maybe I was supposed to learn something from that.
And never make yourself wrong, like, don't beat yourself up about anything, because that's just moving you in the opposite direction of where you want to go. You're here now, where do you want to go next? And then just look in that direction.
Yeah, because whatever you've done in life led you to right here and now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So your program, can you tell us a little bit more about what's involved?
Yeah, so you took the intuitive art certification, so it's that, but it's a condensed version. We're doing it live over 3 days, which is going to be really, really fun. And of course, there's replays, if people want to spread it out, but we've never done that. And that's going to be just really powerful and exciting. And then it includes 6 months in my group coaching, which is just really about, like, how do you put into practice this idea of living intuitively? Like, how does it work for you? How do you get better at it? How do you know what to do? How do you build up your sense of self so that other people's opinions don't cut you off guard, right? Like, there's a lot of changing, like, we're really changing and evolving into beings that are leveraging this higher dimensional energy. I know that sounds like totally out there and woo-woo, but like, we live it every day, regardless of whether we acknowledge it. So may as well take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really just like learning the skills of communicating and embodying your higher self, and then living it and doing it and seeing your world change.
Yeah. And I, and I was speaking with one of my clients, and I said, what's super important is to focus on what's going right, rather than what's going wrong. I mean, if something does go wrong, go, that just happened. Well, at least it wasn't this, or I have this still, or whatever you can spin on it that is positive about that. And because I think that whatever you're focusing on, then the universe goes, oh, you did that. You reacted that way. Well, I'll give you more to react that way. And you could go the opposite way. If you're constantly focused on what's going wrong, it gives you more wrong things. Like some people have like a little cloud over their head. And I noticed it in my life because I used to complain, and then I just stopped complaining. Especially about like specific relationships. I didn't let anybody know anything, because I focused the issue with that person, and the difference between the two relationships that I had, one I complained about and one I didn't, was night and day. And I noticed this, and so then I started implementing it in everything, and noticed that there is a big difference. You attract more good coming through, or you're even noticing the positive in the negative. Have you experienced that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, of course, because we create how we feel, right? And if we're focusing on the negative things enough to where, we have thoughts about it, we're spewing it out of our mouths, right? Then we're just going to create more to complain about. And yeah, if you can focus on the positive, you're going to get more to appreciate. And it's so simple. And I wish we all like took that to heart. But the world would be such a better place.
I
But I think
know.
also, like, we're all on our own journey. It's totally okay. You're never doing anything wrong. But
Right.
if you want to feel better and if you want your life to be better, yeah, it's as easy as that. Feel better, focus on the positive.
And I know like there are times where you can still get depressed or sad, or you fall back into the old um emotional habit, or you might get triggered by something that you didn't realize was still there, that kind of came out of the blue. At least you can go, okay, that just happened, and I'm going to let myself feel this way, not fight it, and not beat yourself up for it, because you're on your journey, that you can still be okay and be human and feel it and go, okay, this will pass. Let me go journal.
Yeah, I love moments like that because I want to know what my baggage is. I don't want to be carrying around resentments and things that can trigger me, because
Yeah.
so often we don't know what we have inside until something happens and we're triggered and we're upset, we're dysregulated, we're mad. And so if I can, right, like you're saying, take a pause and just be like, okay, wow, this happened. I'm really not feeling good right now.
Yeah.
But the door's been opened. There's light on it, right? I'm feeling it. I'm aware of it. And so then, yeah, I can leave it behind. And whether I need to process that a bit or not, it doesn't really matter. But like, you have the information, you can drop the baggage and be like, oh, I've moved on from that. That was my old reaction. That's not really how I feel now. So I'm going to let the emotion play out, fizzle out, and then move on.
Right. Or just explore it. Like, why I've noticed, like, I have one of mine that keeps coming up, even just little things. And I thought I had pretty much got most of them out of my system. And then it came up and I'm like, why did that, I mean, I tried to kind of reverse engineer where it came from. And I just now it came up again, and I just laughed, because I was like, I see you're testing me to see if I'm still triggered by that. And realize, it's part of self-love and self-soothing to go, it's okay. I mean, it's just something that we went through, and it's still kind of there, and you just go, okay, I see you, and that happened, and it's okay, and you don't need to react that way anymore. Or if you want a different spin on it, how would I like for it to play out if it happens again? I think being super aware of everything, to know how you tick is super important to just navigate in life. The better you know yourself, the better you can go through the tough waters,
Yeah. And the more confident you'll be about making decisions, right? Like, I think for most of us, we want more than we have right now, right? We want more experiences. We want more abundance. We want more love. And that's often going to require a lot of self-confidence to be able to let those bigger things in, because they're going to feel a little scary. But if you can deal with things, if, things take a turn or you get triggered by something, if you have confidence in yourself and moving through that, you're going to be on fire, you're just going to have the best life.
Yeah, absolutely. What were some of the things that you went through in getting to where you are today, and learning how to, I wouldn't say, well, maybe master your intuition? I mean, it's a never ending, journey to master your intuition. But what was the switch for you? Like, what was, or I don't know if it was necessarily a switch or a longer journey, but what brought you to the intuitive space of intuitive art and all that?
I would have answered this differently a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
but in the last year and a half, I've realized that I'm autistic, ADHD, and more than likely PDA, which is like, it's technically pathological demand avoidance.
Okay.
All
I don't
that
know what
that
that
means,
is.
all those things, is that I've always had a very stubborn personality when it came to authority, like school and jobs. And I wanted to be the best employee, the best student, the best, daughter. Yeah. But there are things inside of me that rebel against a lot of things. And there are times when I just cannot do what you ask me to do. And it's not even conscious. Like, I had a job many years ago and I just could not wake up on time for more than a week. I was like, I don't drink. I go to bed early. I was trying to explain to my boss, like, it's not me. I swear to God, it's just, I've always done things like I've walked out of work. I quit high school at 16. I almost tried to drop out of second grade. Like, it's just been all my life. And so I didn't know that there were actual terms to describe this. I never got therapy for it, never got treatment, never went on medication. I'm still not. But what I'm saying is, like, I had no choice but to listen to my intuition, or
Yeah.
I would be homeless and unemployed. Like, that's what happens to people like this who are untreated.
Mhm.
And so I had to listen to my intuition to create any kind of life or any kind of success, because that's the only place that I work. I cannot function in a society that's built for like doing the same thing every day and having some authority.
Yeah.
I knew very early on I had to work for myself. And even in working for myself, I change things up all the time. I have freedom. I don't have a schedule. I do what I feel like doing. And there you go. Like, that's how I
That's
learned to
how
trust
I
my
have been
intuition.
too. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been like nodding the whole time because I'm like, me too, me too, me too, me too, me
Yeah.
too. Because, I grew up being told, best thing to do is do what you're told and be a good girl and do the right thing and follow the rules. And I'm just like, I just fly under the radar, oh, my parents don't know I'm doing this, but they still think I'm a good girl, I was a closet bad girl and a good girl in front of everybody else. And I'm trying to marry the two a little bit so that I can be like a little bit of both, and be just more, what. Yeah, I know I definitely have ADHD. I mean, I'm just all over the place. My thoughts and what I want to do, and I've got all these ideas, and I'm trying to channel in to make it get a little bit more of a focus. But my days are just whatever I want to do when I want to do it. But I think that's the definition of abundance, is to be able to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it, and experience and enjoy life as it comes and be in the moment, and just let it's just easier to let life flow than trying to be. I don't like, I mean, I'm trying to be on time, but I'm not always anymore as good as it as I used to, because I'm letting myself be more free. And I definitely feel like that I think that was what you experienced. I think that's also a huge act of self-love, because had you not done that, you would have not been a successful and happy, you were out of alignment. And I think when you found your alignment, then that's when you flourish.
I mean, the thing that I always knew was that how I feel matters. Feeling
Yes.
good matters to me. And if what someone is telling me doesn't feel good, I cannot do it. I just cannot. I've never been able to override myself for a long period of time. And so that's my saving grace, is like, I am intuitively connected, and I have lived to the best of my ability in harmony with myself. And even if that it didn't look like that to the rest of the world, that's exactly what I was doing. So
Did you get a
yeah.
lot of pushback from?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my grandpa called me stupid when I was 16 and I dropped out of school, and like people just thought people always saw my potential, which I think was hard for them because they saw my potential, but then they saw me making decisions contrary to what they thought I should do to live that potential, right? So
Mhm.
um we were talking earlier about like sort of being the black sheep. I think like sometimes you have to be the weirdo before you're the genius. You know what I mean? Like,
Right? How many people out there were like that?
yeah,
That just they went in the left field. They went into left field. I'm like, boy, look at them go. They're gonna do very well. But then they end up doing better than everybody that they left behind.
exactly. Yeah.
And they're
I love
happier.
talking to parents of high schoolers who are worried about their kids. They're going in this direction and maybe they are autistic, and like having to find their own path. I always love to assure parents, like, support your child in the best way that you can. Don't force them to be what you think they need to be. Like,
Mhm.
support them in living their own dreams, their own life, even if that means doing something you wouldn't want them to do. Obviously, that's not harmful to them.
Right.
And they will turn out okay. Like,
Mhm.
they just need more support than the world is giving them right now,
Well,
because
to be accepted
yeah.
as a being
Mhm.
instead of the role that they should, wear.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we need to get to the age where we're being instead of doing and playing a role.
Yeah.
We're playing, like, I think what I experienced, my family was all here's the track you got to go, graduate from high school, get good grades and honors in college, and you get married and you have kids, and yeah. So I did all that. I'm like, like, where's the happiness at the end of this rainbow? There wasn't any. And I just felt like it was better off to just cut the cord altogether and start over. Everybody, um, I really went into left field, and it wasn't met with very much, not much acceptance there. But I also grew so much more.
Mhm.
I was going from being the trophy daughter and the trophy wife, and the stay-at-home mom that did, was the Girl Scout leader. I mean, I was trying to, I mean, whatever role they told me to do, I did it to the nines. And then when they're like, well, what do you want to do? I didn't know. I lost me. I wasn't being, I was playing roles. And I didn't know who I was anymore. I had lost that. And I didn't know what I wanted. And I had to go like down to the scratch nothing to go, okay, well, all right, I've stripped all of that away. Now what? What do I want now? And I'm finally, feeling like, okay, I'm okay to just be Susan. And that's kind of why I started the Create Happy Now, and want to have everybody learn from people like you on the show to, like, just let go, and just do what you want to do, and let it be okay, and learn to be brave, and learn to be confident, and just come into your own. And that's where I think playing with your intuition is crucial.
Yeah. Because even if you feel disconnected, you're never disconnected truly, right? You just need
Right.
to start looking in the right direction, which is back inside of you instead of outside for validation. Yeah. And it does take some time, right? You probably found like maybe little tiny things, got your curiosity and you went in a direction. It's not like I'm disconnected to like full on joy and purpose sometimes, but usually it's a slower process and you just need to sort of date yourself again, see what you're into.
So another thing that I've been talking a lot about, or I guess not talking about, but learning about in more of a conscious way is attachments to outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're consciously attached to an outcome, then our intuition can't flow.
Yeah, we're receiving through that filter, right? So we're distorting our own intuition, right?
Yeah, right.
And yeah, so the biggest thing you can think about is how you feel is what the outcome will be. If you are super excited about an idea, then okay, that's the direction to go because I'm going to love that outcome. I'm going to love it so much. And if you're just like, I don't know, it's really not that lined up for you yet. It could develop into that, but keep going in the best feeling direction and there your outcome is guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't know if you are familiar with this channel, Bashar, who's
Yeah.
okay. He's, for those of you guys don't know, he's channeled by Daryl Anka. And I learned a lot from him and just some philosophies. And he basically just, follow your bliss, follow what just knocks your sock off, just your socks, knocks your socks off. What really you just are really passionate about. And sometimes it takes a while to figure out what that is, especially if you're just now going, okay, now I'm going to figure out. That's what I was struggling with because I had played so many roles instead of playing Susan. Now I was in a candy store. Like, I don't know what flavor I like, So it's okay to try a few things out to see what really grabs you and what just delights you and fills your heart and creates more curiosity. I want to do more of this. I want to try more of this and let it feed on that and let your intuition go, hey, I think maybe you should try this. I think this would be fun, and then once you kind of marry your intuition on this journey and let them kind of go, I think you're going to really like this. Let's try this. And then you're going to be led towards your passion faster if you start to integrate with your intuition.
Yeah, one of the things I really loved about Bashar was he was talking about excitement is the full package, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the direction, but it's also giving you the energy to take the first step, the second step, right? Because a lot of people are so tired and burnt out. They don't know what they want and they don't have the energy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, like you're saying, if you can find something, even curiosity, which is just like sort of the first step, there's energy given to you in that so that you do have the energy to move forward, take the step, keep going. And so I love Bashar. Yeah, I haven't thought about Bashar in a long time.
I know. And I think too, when you have locked into that passion, I mean, there's always some things that kind of like there's always a cog in the wheel at some point, but you're more willing to get through it and get over it and go, okay, that was not a big deal. Instead of, well, that's just it. I'm not going to go after it now. The passion is strong enough. You don't care about the little hiccups that come along. It's almost like those become not even a big deal. You're like, oh, well, that just happened. Oh, well, instead of, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. So, and I think it's sometimes you won't find your passion until you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s. I mean, it doesn't really matter how old you are. I mean, I think you're super lucky if you find your passion at very young in life. Um, I'm kind of jealous of those that have done that. But I think it's okay to explore until something hits, and don't beat yourself up because you haven't found it yet, or you're just still, playing the field right now and just, trying this career or trying that career, or this hobby or this hobby, or, just keep trying until something hits you.
And I think one thing that really sort of jams the gears in the beginning is people are looking for the one thing that's going to sustain them for the rest of their lives. It's going to be monetizable and will give them retirement. Like, take the pressure off, right? Like, relax. Everything's going to work out. You can change passions. You can change anything. Like, just think about it as like you're swinging from one rope to the next, like you're not making a decision that's going to have to carry you for the rest of your life. Just go with what feels good, because it's not even what you're doing, it's how you're feeling. So
Yeah.
if you can feel good, let your feelings move you from one thing to the next. That's way more important. That's the skill you want to develop, because what you do is going to change no matter what. Even if you have one singular passion for the rest of your life, you're not going to do the same thing with it every single day.
Right. No. And the thing is, I think it's kind of boring if you feel like the one thing is going to be it for forever. I mean, unless you found your passion and that's what you want to do. I mean, then go, go for that. Do it, to you know, make it an amazing experience. But if you don't have that, that's okay too. Just try all the flavors in the ice cream store.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun too, right? And you might narrow it down to a few flavors, right? Instead of just the one, and living with the one the rest of your life. I'd rather have options.
Well, the ADHD in us, definitely. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes. It's like a blessing and a curse at the same time. I kind of like, sometimes find comfort in my ADHD. I don't know if you feel that way sometimes. I don't get I don't get bored because I'm constantly going off and doing this or that. Do you find that way too? I mean, how
Yeah.
have you navigated your ADHD? Because I know a lot of people struggle with it and have gone undiagnosed. I mean, my son that got diagnosed, but he still struggles with it. But I was kind of a functioning ADHD person, so I'm either all over the place or hyper focused.
Mm-hmm. Same. Yeah. And I think when I had to be in a job, it was the most difficult because I wasn't the one setting what work I had to do or the deadlines. Now, in the beginning of those jobs, I was the best at it that there had ever been, because I was so into it, so hyper focused on it, right? Improving all this, everything that needed improving. But then when I lost it, right? When I lost the dopamine hit from that work,
Yes.
I was so slow and like everything changed. And so
And they're like, what
I
happened
had
to
a
you?
lot of
Like, you were
job
so
turnover.
great.
Yeah, I would just leave and move on to the next thing. I had a lot of jobs. I was a temp for a while, which was great for me because
Isn't that great?
yeah, so I always found ways to make it work, but I do love it in my own work, in my personal life, because there's always new exciting things to discover. I'm usually really good at things at the start, so I can accomplish a lot. I do accomplish a lot of things because I can move on and like come back. And so I've just, found a rhythm of life that works for me. But it is, I will say, sometimes frustrating that my form of ADHD, I just always am like trying on new careers. So like if I hear about a career I've never heard about before, I'm always like, oh, I wonder if I want to do that. I'm always like interested in what everyone's doing. Like, oh, do I want to be a lawyer? Do I want to be a financial planner? Do I want to be a social worker? Like,
Oh yeah, you just want to try all the flavors, but then you're like, but then you play it out and go,
yeah.
no, and then you try, like you don't want to waste your time going in that direction, because what if it doesn't work out? That
Yeah.
that plagues me. It plagues my son too sometimes too, um but I try to see, well, what's the common denominator of the things that attract me, and what do I constantly think about all the time? Like what do I want to do? And for me, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm listening to somebody or if I'm reading something, I'm like, how can I let other people know about this great information? Like everybody needs to know this. This is awesome. And so that's when I decided that I wanted to really broadcast, everybody's genius, and to how to be happier and more fulfilled and live more purposefully and let go of the have to, and just go in the direction, march to the beat of your own drum. And it's not easy, but the more you get used to it, the easier it gets.
Yeah. And, looking at the thread in your life is exactly what saves me too. It's just like, I have a really strong central like ethic, and I talk about the same things all the time, and I have since I was a little kid. And as long as I'm playing in that vein, I feel really centered. I also rely on my higher self of like, okay, if I go in this direction, what does it look like? Or I do the little yes, no of like, is this the most beneficial thing for me? That saves me a lot of time.
Do you do like some pendulum at all, or
I just
muscle
do it
testing or anything?
internally, but
Internally.
same thing with all of those.
Mm-hmm.
I just ask the question in my head, and if I get an opening feeling or a warmth, it's a
Mm-hmm.
yes. If I get like a tightening or a closing feeling, it's a no. And then sometimes it's neutral where I don't feel anything at all, and then I can go either way.
And I'm sure that's sometimes confusing, because I know what you're talking about. And you're also trying to differentiate it from your brain too. Like, is that a fear that's coming up, or is it, or not, especially when you feel that tense, is that something that my soul is like, yes, you need to do it, but your brain's like, no, you'll get hurt.
I always know how, like, I'm really confident in my yes, no abilities. And there are definitely times where I have a fear, but it's a yes. But usually I still feel the yes on the outskirts of the fear. Like, so the fear will be a tight chest, but I'll feel the yes. And then I'll know, okay, it's a yes,
Do it
but I'm
anyway.
afraid. So let me calibrate this. Let me soothe myself. How can I dampen this fear and see if it would be worth it to keep going? Because sometimes you want to move through the fear, and then sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you move through the fear, you're more than likely going to have a bumpy ride. Is there a way that you can have an easier ride? By waiting, or by soothing, right? Or by negotiating, right? So I always try to find the
Dip your
easiest.
toe in at first instead of diving in.
Yeah.
Wading in instead of jumping in.
Very hard for me to do. I'm a jumper, but yeah, it can be done.
I think it depends on what it is and how far the change is from what you're accustomed to. Sometimes you're thrown into it and you have someone just tossing you into the water and you just got to deal with it. And sometimes it can be a choice of whether you just want to jump in, or you're like, I just feel more like wading this time. I think it just depends on the risk that you are feeling at the time. If you're like, you know what, I don't care, like this is the the benefit is going to outweigh the risk. So I'm going to do it anyway. But if the risk is kind of like, a little bit bigger than the benefit, but you still know that the benefit is pretty good, but you just want to, I'm not as good at this as I am ready to do. So I need to kind of practice until I kind of get there. And then I'm there. I think you just have to weigh which is best for you at the time. Or just have somebody throw me in.
Yeah, I mean, we can do a lot. We can pre-pave the energy so that it's more conducive for us going in full force. You know, you can imagine what you want to happen. You can imagine a smooth transaction. That goes a long way in, preparing you, right? Because if you create the energy out here that you're stepping into, it feels just like you're stepping into a warm bath, instead of like an ice cold ice bath. So I like to work with the energy before I, get there physically, because it really can just make life so much easier.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Rachel, it's always been a pleasure having you come on to my podcast, and I'll definitely have you as a regular because I just love, the common thread that we have, and we just have a lot of experiences that are similar, and I think there's a lot of people out there that can relate. So I always enjoy you coming on. Is there a link I can give everybody if they want to try out your program? Or
Yeah,
do you have a certain time that this is coming out?
Intuitiveart.com. Everything's there. Our free class is there. The information on the program's there. So yeah, go explore.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And is there anything else that you would like to let the listeners know? Any last words of wisdom or?
Yeah, how you feel matters. How you feel matters, and treat yourself well.
Yeah. Yeah. Be your own best friend. Be your own nurturer. Yeah. Being self-full is not selfish, I think, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
That's where the good stuff happens.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Create Happy Now podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, and if you are watching on YouTube, hit that notification bell. If you have a topic to suggest, please leave a comment below. Catch the Create Happy Now podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes, and Podchaser. Check out other YouTube videos on the Create Happy Now YouTube channel. And if you want more, check down below for resources, courses, and events, or go to www.createhappynow.com.